Alright, so we're back here at the campsite. I want to ride around these two camping loops real quick and kind of show you an idea of what these spots look like in addition to ours. Okay, so coming out of our driveway for our little camping spot, you got this big hill right here. We see a lot of tent camping going on. A lot of the pop-ups that were here have left. I guess we got a different group of folks coming in for the weekend. You see there a lot of tent camping going on. There's a pop-up over there. Now we go down this hill right here. You see another pop-up right there. Small pool behind there. Got the campground host right there. So it's kind of a small little loop right there. There's your bathroom, trash station. Come down here and turn around, and we'll go show you that other loop. Oh, there's a bump right there. So right down here, we got the trading post. There's a little store there. There's a relatively flat campsite right there. I haven't seen anyone at it yet, but that was probably the easiest one to get into of all of them here. It's down here at the bottom of the hills. There were a few pop-ups right in here yesterday. Looks like they're all gone. Wait for more people to come in here. And these are all one-way loops. So you got to go all the way around. So this is the top of the loop we're on, and if we go down this little road right here, we'll go to a different camping area. It's a really, really narrow road right here. One way in. You have to kind of loop around to get out of here. So in here it's a little more of the same. Smaller campers. Some of these sites do look easier to get into. There's your bathhouse right there for this loop. A lot of tents, a lot of pop-ups. Can't get a big camper in here, too small. There are some relatively flat spots in here. And neat little R-pods with a add-on living room tent there. But you can see that spot right there is pretty flat compared to some of the others we've seen. We'll scroll on down this way. And then here is the end of it. You got a little loop right here. You can turn around, because a lot of these spots you got to come down the end, turn around, and then go up the back end. So we'll spin around this little loop right here. And that's all of them. I think there may be about 50 camping spots total. Not a lot, but a decent amount. So all around the state park there are these different overlooks where you can just kind of see everything. And they all have a different name. This one here is called the Nantahala Overlook, if I'm saying that right. This is about a half a mile tall. What? Nantahala? I don't know. Brooklyn says that's in Frozen too. But take a look out here. These overlooks are just beautiful. See around, see a little bit of everything. I can hear a helicopter up there somewhere. See how pretty the leaves are this time of year. Nice red, yellow, orange colors. I don't think this is the tallest overlook. We'll show you the rest of them. This is definitely a nice one. Sit out here and just stare out upon those mountains. So here's another overlook here. The Cowie Overlook. I guess that's how you say that. It's a little over half a mile up. And similar view to what we were seeing before. Similar elevation. You can get the lighting to adjust here on the camera. It's a little dark out here. You can see Mountains, mountains, and mountains for miles. So if you go up the hill from where the camping loops are, we have the visitor center up here, and this is the best lookout on the whole joint. Come over here and I'll show you what all we can see. There's also inside the visitor center a nice kind of glass wall there. You can see out really well. Come down these steps here. A little rocky as well. Here we go. So if you look over there, that's the town of Clayton. That's the road we came in on, the 4-lane road. That keeps going all the way to Dillard. If you spin around, you don't see a mountain as tall. Maybe this guy over here, just by a little bit, but we're definitely at one of the tallest spots you'll see for miles and miles and miles. What do you think, honey?
Beautiful.
All right, let's see what's on the menu for night 2 here at Black Rock Mountain. So let's start over here on the meat side. We got some pork chops here, got seasoned up with some Blackstone all-purpose seasoning. A little mini Weber action again tonight. Those coals are almost ready. So we're gonna throw those pork chops on there. We're gonna do a little indirect heat on those, get those nice and tender. Now, I got a baked potato and Brooklyn's got a sweet potato, and I was gonna boil the baked potato on this unit right here, but Brooklyn decided that we should try to cook them on these hot coals right here. So down there in the tin foil, you can see I got a big baked potato. If we come over on this other side, there's a sweet potato. And so we've been turning them every 15 minutes or so. Coals are nice and hot. On the last video, we had some people saying that we should cook on this, cook meat and everything on this, as opposed to the Weber. And to be honest, I don't have much experience cooking over an open fire like this. I've cooked on a Weber most of my life, but it's a little bit of a learning curve, so we'll see how long it takes some taters to get ready. Brooklyn wants to know how long it takes to boil water up here, so she's doing a little test right now. But we got hot coals, and so we'll see. It may be 11 o'clock before we eat a tater. We'll just have to see. We got that going, but we're gonna give it a try, and if it doesn't work, it's Brooklyn's fault, right?
Whatever.
So another thing we've been talking about is trying to do some Dutch oven cooking.
Yes.
And we were at the flea market. We found a little cast iron thing with a handle on it. It would been perfect. They were a little too proud of it. So
they wanted like $100 for it.
Yeah. So I mean, it was old school, seasoned. I mean, it was pretty, but way too proud of that thing.
I mean, I would have paid $10 for it at a yard sale and felt good about it.
Anyway, but we've been over here talking about how we'd like to maybe do some cowboy style cooking with the Dutch oven, maybe some beef stew in the future. Maybe when we go to Vogel, we can try that out. We need this little tripod thingy to hang over the fire. Yeah. And hang it there. And I think
we need some recipes.
Need some recipes if y'all got any.
Below.
But we were thinking about getting like some little stew beef tips, searing them on the Blackstone, putting them in there with some carrots, taters, and some.
Oh, that sounds good.
And some business, and just kind of letting it simmer all day. Anyway, if y'all have ever done any of that, let us know how you like it.
Yeah.
So how did the potato on the fire experiment turn out?
It did good. Well, for the sweet potato. And I think yours was good, but that was like a 4-pound potato. Yeah. So it took a lot longer.
Got it doctored up. Can't put enough butter and cheese and sour cream on a potato. Pork chops look good.
Really good. I'm hungry.
Grub it up.
Okay, try not to get the camera wet, but this morning has been a total doozy. You probably can't see it, but it is raining. It has rained since, well, all day yesterday, but definitely we got back around 8:30 last night. It has rained 12 hours straight. And we've had to put everything up in the rain. And when we got back yesterday, our awning had snapped in two. So, we have done great. I feel like this morning being very patient. Our expectations were very low. We were just thrilled we were able to get this back in the bag. I gotta quit videoing though because the camera's getting wet. But I'm sure y'all can imagine how we feel, soaked and wet. Everything in the back of the truck is wet. Everything. is soaking wet. So we're just glad we got it down. And then we have to put it all back up when we get home.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Pop-Up Life channel. We are in a little different setting than we were last time you seen us at Black Rock Mountain. Had a little issues with some rain the last day and a half there, and so we weren't able to do our normal campground review on site at the campground. So we're back here at our home a day or so later, and we want to do the review now. Earlier in this video you saw us take a little tour around the campground and campsites and show you that. We want to just get in a little more detail of that and give our official review score at the end. So just a little kind of information that would help you understand why we went there, even though we knew there was a good chance it would rain. We booked this trip way back in the summer.
Yes.
Evidently,
like bought the pop-up and booked this trip, I feel like, the next week.
Right. So that this time of year, when the leaves are changing up there, is very, very prized time of year to go.
Right.
Not to mention with COVID going on, the camping craze is all abound, and if you want a good state park spot, you got to book it 2 or 3 months in advance.
If not more. And
because this state park doesn't have that many campsites, and they're kind of hard to get into, this is like real. I think I might have booked the last 1 or 2 spots I had. Anyway, evidently it's a very sought after campground this time of year. So we knew there was a chance it was going to rain. Well, we had booked it so far in advance, and we felt like, man, everybody says this place, you got to go there. So that's why we went.
I don't think we knew it'd rain as much as it rained there.
No.
Like, that was a big surprise, just how much it rained. We learned a good lesson. We thought we had moved the awning enough so it was slanted. We had not. And it ended up buckling our awning like this from the rain.
That's right.
So that was a doozy. Everything was so, you just learn a lot.
So we went to, was it Saturday? Saturday, we went and it was about a 40-minute drive, rode over to Hiawassee, met up with some friends we met on a camping trip earlier this year, and went to this Brew, Stew, and Q festival, which was a great time.
But we were gone almost the whole day.
Yeah, we were gone almost the whole day. And it had started raining a little bit on the way back, but we got back, and on top of this mountain, it had absolutely flooded. And we roll up to our campsite, and it was just like, not only is it raining, but the awning is almost folded in half. A lot of our stuff that we didn't want to get wet was wet. Soaked. So we got there, we did a little damage control. Got everything kind of underneath the awning. It was still serving its purpose as far as
barely
blocking a little bit of the rain.
Yeah.
Got it on there. Just went to bed, was like, maybe it will slack up in the morning.
It did not slack up. It rained a solid 10 hours.
It did. So that next morning was a great little marriage building exercise. But actually, I thought we did pretty good.
We did fine. All we kept saying is, thank God those kids aren't here.
Yeah, if the kids would have been there, it could have been very disastrous. But we both we've done this enough. We know what each of our roles are as far as getting everything packed up. And we did it in a pretty timely manner. Got it packed up. All of our stuff was wet. We ended up just, instead of packing stuff up like we normally did, we knew we were going to have to dry it out when we got home. So we just threw a lot of it in the back of the truck, folded the camper up, and then when we get home, we open it back up, hang all of our tablecloths out underneath the barn, let everything dry. And not that bad, really. I mean, yeah, I
mean, nothing is pleasurable when you're getting soaking wet. So, I mean, you're right. It wasn't looking back. But in the moment, an hour of packing everything up in the pouring rain wasn't great.
I mean, we did tell ourselves, hey, if it's showing 60-70% chance of rain,
we ain't doing this again.
Then we're probably not going to go again. But it was a good experience. It was fortunate we didn't have the kids there. That would have been really tough doing it with them, but we made it. So, all right, we covered that last day, and while we don't have a whole lot of footage of our last 24 hours there, Now let's get to talking about the campground itself. So
Okay.
like I said, this is a pretty sought after place to go in the fall. It was packed, all small campers. There was one camper I think I saw that was maybe 25, 30 foot long with a pretty big truck pulling it. Funny story, I guess this isn't funny for the person that happened to, but we were in the little trading post there, and the park ranger was sitting in a rocking chair reading the newspaper. And on the front page of the newspaper, there was a picture of a truck that had basically caught on fire. And I was talking to him. He said, "You see that right there?" He's like, "That's right down the road here." And he said this frequently happens. People don't do their due diligence as far as reading the reviews, and they try to haul too big of a camper up there with too little of a truck. And it's a steep hill, and it's also tough to back in these spots. There was another huge trail of antifreeze all around our little camp circle where another truck had some issues and just spewing antifreeze everywhere. So it's definitely for smaller campers, a lot
And
of
tent campers.
and a lot of tents. But I kind of liked it. It was nice and cozy. There was no fancy big campers up there. All the people there, I don't know, maybe I just had this little preconceived notion, but people in smaller campers and people camping in tents, they really enjoy the camping experience. Seems like.
Well, they're all outside.
They're
and
all
I think
outside.
that's sort of what we
They're
like.
fun to talk to. We like to walk
That's
around
what
and
we
talk to
like
them.
to see is everyone is hanging outside their camper because, it's too small to really see inside of it, except when it was raining. It was not too small. It's perfect. I was glad to have it. But you're right. And another thing that park ranger told us is that this campground is an older campground. It was first built like in the 1950s. So he said that's one reason the sites are so small is, of course, campers were so much smaller. People were mostly doing tent camping back then. So that's why it's small. But I think if you read other reviews, it really is, people have said it's a small camper paradise. So it was nice. It was nice to see other pop-ups. It was nice to see other people that sort of like the same camping
It's the
style
most
as us.
pop-ups we've seen in one place thus far, I would say.
Yeah. It was.
Pop-up paradise. It's a really nice tents.
Yeah,
Big tents
man.
we saw. And then some small campers we saw, like those R-pods.
Yes,
those
those
kind of
were
small
really
pull
neat.
behind. One had like a little living room tent attachment to the side of it.
Super neat.
That was pretty cool. So it was nice to see like-minded folks there that like small campers. And
You big RV people, I'm sure y'all like camping too. We don't mean that.
but no big motorhomes there, nothing like that.
No.
As far as the amenities go, the campsites were pretty decent size. They weren't the biggest. Wasn't like hard labor where they're huge.
Right.
Backing into the sites is a little hairy. Not a whole lot of room on either side of the truck backing in there. Once you get in there, I feel like we had a decent amount of room on our campsite.
Yeah.
The bathrooms were super, super clean.
Yeah, they were really nice. They had a laundry right there on site. And you saw the little video. In our little loop, we had our own bathroom and laundry. And then as you went up the hill in the other loop, they had their own bathroom and laundry as well. It's not, you wouldn't want to walk down that large hill, so it's a good thing they had separate bathrooms. I think that depending on the campsite number, the campsite you're in, really sort of determined your experience. I would say there were big inequalities and big differences between the certain campsites. So I've done my best. I took notes on my phone of which campsites I think are most desirable, because that's been my biggest problem whenever we're trying to book these sites, is that one, the pictures don't really do the sites justice, and you can't really see how big they are. And it was very hard for me to find any reviews on what would be an ideal campsite for the certain things we were looking for. So if you check out in the description below, I've linked the different campsite numbers that I thought were great and a few to avoid just based on the hill or the drop-offs or something like that.
Yeah, I would say our campsite was probably one of the ones that had the best views and had more solitude than the rest of the campsites. However, like we said, there's two loops there, and the loop we were on is a little more, I don't want to say dangerous, but a little more tricky. The other loop is a little more flat.
Had more flat.
If you had kids, that other loop, you'd probably be fine. Where we were, it's pretty dicey. But there's a trade-off there. The dicier it is, the prettier the view's going to be. The views weren't as great on the other loop. as we had, it was a little more flatter, a little
Yeah.
easier to get in the campsites, it appeared.
And of course, it's not as pretty on the inner loop, so the people who were on the interior didn't have near the views we were. So that's another thing. If you want to have beautiful views, our side was the best because we looked down the mountain.
Yeah, there was really only like 2 or 3 sites on the outside of our loop.
You're
and
right.
We had one of them.
You're right, yeah.
There. So we looked up, and I didn't know that when I picked it. I just grabbed what I could when we booked it, but it just ended up working out that way. If we went back, especially if we took the kids, I'd probably get on that second loop that's a little more flat.
And there's more play area. I'd get at the very back
you can actually
of that
ride
loop.
a bicycle on that second
Right.
loop. You definitely, speaking from experience,
No.
can't ride a bicycle on that first loop. It's so steep.
So steep, you're right. And you couldn't let your children just sort of run around there as easily.
We didn't see any bears, but evidently it's a heavily populated bear area. You can't leave any trash or any food out. They have like a locked, I won't say it's locked, but their trash, they don't have
room.
dumpsters. They have a trash room with bins in there, and you open the door, take your trash in there, throw it in the bin because evidently the bears can rummage around. Didn't know this, but it's supposedly if you see a bear, what you're supposed to do. This is kind of silly to me.
Depending on the type of bear you see.
If you see a black bear, you're supposed to wave your arms like this and holler real loud. Do not run away. Just stand in front of him and holler real loud. And then if you feel threatened, you should call the DNR or the Park Service.
So I'm definitely gonna have time to Google that number.
Yeah, and then they can take lethal action on the bear if they need to.
We don't want any bears killed though, so hopefully.
Anyway, we didn't run into any bears. I had my eyes out.
You were like hoping to run into a bear, I think.
I just kind of wanted to see one. Anyway, Black Rock Mountain, I would say, is.
What's your number? Give it a number.
Hold on,
sorry,
I'm getting there.
sorry.
I'm getting there. I would say it is a more of a niche campground.
Okay.
Beautiful views at the top. Not necessarily something you're going to take a whole big group to. It's more of a, take a small family, small group. Definitely something to go do at least once. Like I said, you can't get those views anywhere around there. It's the tallest state park in Georgia. Definitely something to do at least one time. Not saying we wouldn't go back. I thought it was beautiful, especially being up there when the leaves are changing. There are some restrictions to it as far as what you can and can't do up there. It's not a big flat campground like Hard Labor where you're going to ride around, bicycle, ride horses all day. You're just kind of up there enjoying the beauty. The town's close by though. Clayton's really close by. It's nice downtown if you want to go do something and grab a bite to eat.
Check out our last video. I put restaurant recommendations and some store recommendations for Clayton.
So, now time for our big score.
Okay, sorry. I rushed it.
I'm going to give Black Rock Mountain a 7.9. I really enjoyed it, but like I said, it fits into a specific window. It's not a one size fits all campground.
Right.
For sure, it's got its own purpose. Small camper works great for the pop-up life. Doesn't necessarily work great for small kids. Probably going to go back, but it wasn't my favorite spot, and that's not because of the rain.
No.
It wasn't our favorite state park, but it's definitely something I think everybody that has a small camper should go check out at least once.
Or tent camp up there. It's beautiful. I'll go along with that number. I think it is. I mean, we can't say how beautiful it was enough. We keep trying to sell you on this. The accessibility to the trails were great. We didn't get to go on the trails like I wanted to.
If you like hiking, it's definitely a place to go.
It's nice that it was the trails are so easily accessible. 2, they're like a mile from the campsites. There's great parking right there. We weren't able to do it because of the rain. Another thing that I think you need to mention, because it's so high up, you're literally in the clouds and or fog all morning. So it is sort of difficult. I mean, I guess it's fine to hike in that kind of weather, but children wouldn't do great in it.
The advantage of that is it was really, no doubt, it was pretty warm for that weekend for North Georgia down below there. It was in the 70s. way up there on the mountain, it was at least 10 to 15 degrees cooler.
Right. Yes, definitely a plus for that. I thought it was fog. It was clouds. So
We had this debate earlier, and then she was like, okay,
I
those
think
are
maybe
clouds.
those are clouds. So you have to get a little bit of a later start. Like you have to do some things later in the day. I'm an early riser. I like to get my day
Yeah, so
started.
you don't have the
right away.
best light first thing in the morning.
Right. So that would be the only other thing. Campsites are a little small, like you've already mentioned. But I think depending on the campsites, and if you look at what I've described below about which ones would be the best one, you'll have a great experience. I love that area, though. I think if anything, like not only is Black Rock beautiful, but the closeness to Clayton, Tallulah Falls, that whole area is gorgeous. Never been up there, never been around there. So glad we went. We saw so many other great campgrounds we want to check out just because that area is so great. I just can't express the area of Clayton how beautiful it was. Just
if you
nice.
need a little camping couples getaway, definitely
Recommend it. Honeymoon
highly
suite.
recommend go to Black Rock. Go to downtown
Yes.
Clayton, walk around today. Can't recommend that anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Well, that's our Black Rock trip. We ended up getting 3 videos out of that trip. And we hope you've enjoyed them. If you enjoyed this one, give us a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And ring that little bell so you get notified
Ding, ding.
every time we come out with a new video. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, y'all.